Howdy folks, I decided today is the day I will tackle the speedometer issue on the Kawasaki Avenger 220. These things are notoriously bad for going through the speedometer cables. Some kind of manufacturer defect or something, but apparently even if you buy a new speedometer cable and install it, it will still end up breaking the replacement. So I'm not really sure why they designed it that way, but if you repair it, replace it, whatever, get yourself two, because you're going to end up having to do it again after 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers, I guess, at the most. So, but basically, I just released the handlebar. You can see the upper clamp that goes on the handlebar. I removed that to gain access to the speedometer. It makes it easier. I removed the mounts there, the two lower bolts. The speedometer also has the two upper bolts, but since I'm replacing my tack that I installed, I'm doing this as well from there. This is the tack / volt meter I bought from Lazada about a year ago. It's crappy. It's rusted. The display digits are for the voltage are missing some segments. There's 7-segment LEDs there, and they're nice and bright, but during the day they're not bright enough, and the segments are going out on it, so the 4 looks like a 1 sometimes, or a 2, but yeah, so definitely wasn't worth the buy after all. And I never did get the tachometer working on it. I tried every connection point, but it would never show the proper RPM. It would always show big numbers like 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. So anyway, back to the speedometer. I removed the cable from here. It's just a thread on. You can see that right there, just a pair of pliers, and it unthreads. And when it unthreads, you get the little cable sticking out, which is just simply the wire, flex wire cable. It's like a piano wire almost. And it's just simply broken off right there, just sheared. And it doesn't seem to be a pinch point here or a heavy bend in the cable in that area either down below. You'd expect it to break maybe where it's flexing the most, which would be down here. Right, when it turns around a corner, but nope. Mine, I'm not sure if others, broke right here. The speedometer itself is still working fine if you spin it. If you spin it, you can see the speedometer still actually turns a bit, I think. Yeah. There you go. And it moves very freely. There's no resistance. So it's not the speedometer issue itself, like it's not seizing up or anything, causing the cable to break. It's just a bad design, I think, in the cable. So anyway, yeah, I remove it from there, and then now I'll take that screw off. Down here, luckily the gear mechanism on the axle is not broken or at fault for this. I'm sure that would make things a lot more difficult. Yeah, take that screw out. That should slide right out. Yep. And now we just have the end. And how does it rotate? Yeah, it rotates actually very smoothly. No problem there at all. So again, why that would break, I don't know. But so I'll slide this all the way out, and then take a look. See what we get here. You can see there's rust on it. And there shouldn't be. I mean, that should have been greased from the factory or oiled quite nicely, right? There should never be any signs of rust on this cable. And it's good at the bottom most of the way up. So I don't know, maybe it'd be a good idea as a preemptive measure to pull this cable out and put some good, nice thick oil in there. Actually, you probably need some kind of lithium grease, because if you put oil in, it'll eventually run all the way down to the bottom on its own. So anyway, well, this is a pretty easy removal. I'll put it back together until I get the replacement cable. And I'm pretty sure you can get just the wire itself. You don't have to buy the whole cable assembly. And I read somewhere, I think it was on one of the forums that Honda XR or something like that. I'll look it up and then report back. But the cable apparently is the same. It's just a different length. So you can cut the length off. And then it should be the same as this apparently. So, but I'll check that out and I'll get back to you on it. But anyway, we'll see how things go. I'm trying to remove it from here, from the speedometer, but it won't come out. So I'm not sure if it's a press in or if there's a clasp inside there. Probably some kind of clasp in there that keeps the cable in place from sliding out or something. So I think I'll have to take the screws out of the speedometer. So I'll report back on that as well. And the odometer trip meter reset button has to be removed. It's just a small, let's find the camera here, small Phillips in through the hole. Remove the screw, and it comes right out. Okay, well, you can definitely save yourself some time. It turns out that this doesn't have any kind of latch or key or any kind of mechanisms to hold that cable in. It's just seated in there. It wouldn't come out with a good bit of plier pulling, but you put the pliers up against this and use that as a wedge, and I was able to like get it out and kind of show you how I did it. Yours probably end up being the same way. So I put the pliers on here and then just use the lip as a bit of a pry, and then you bend on the pliers, and then it comes right out without too much effort. So basically when it comes out, it'll probably be rusty like that. Mine's very rusty. I don't know if that camera will focus on that or not, but yeah, it's squared off. And then so the reason it was stuck in there heavily was because of the rust. So it's not necessary to remove the speedometer from the case, which is what I did because I was afraid if I pull on it too hard it might break it or something, until I found out what was holding it in. But I can simply say it was just rust. It was holding it in. So there you go. Cable's removed, ready for a replacement. And I'll report back whenever I get it fixed and what I came up with. I might try and look for just the Honda XR, like XR200 or something maybe, or 100, 120. I'll report back what it is that I find, but I might go to a part shop and see if they have one of those cables and then try and fit it in there. Alright, talk to you later.